sunlight that floods Earth is the ultimate source of energy that drives the dynamics of the planet. Solar energy arrives at the top of the atmosphere as electromagnetic radiation in particles of energy known as photons. When the photons reach the atmosphere, land, and water, some are transformed into another form of energy called heat. Some of the photons that reach plants are transformed into photochemical energy used in photosynthesis. We will now explore the pathways, efficiencies, and constraints that characterize energy flow through the ecosystem. But first, we must examine the physical laws governing the flow of energy. The laws of thermodynamics govern energy flow. Energy exists in two forms: potential and kinetic. Potential energy is stored energy. It is capable of and available for performing work. Kinetic energy is energy in motion. It performs work at the expense of potential energy. Work occurs when a force acts on an object, causing its displacement. Two laws of thermodynamics govern the expenditure and storage of energy. The first law of thermodynamics relates to the conservation of energy and states that energy is neither created nor destroyed. It may change form, pass from one place to another, or act on matter in various ways. When a chemical reaction results in loss of energy from the system, it is called an exothermic reaction. On the other hand, some chemical reactions must absorb energy in order to proceed. These are endothermic reactions. The second law of thermodynamics states that when energy is transferred or transformed, part of the energy assumes a form that cannot pass on any further. Thus, entropy increases. Entropy is the reduction in potential energy. The second law theoretically applies to closed systems in which no energy or matter is exchanged with the surrounding environment. Living systems, however, are open systems with a constant input of energy in the form of solar radiation, providing the means to counteract entropy. Energy fixed in the process of photosynthesis is primary production. The rate at which carbon dioxide in the atmosphere or water is converted into organic compounds by autotrophs is referred to as primary productivity because it is the first and basic form of energy storage in ecosystems. The flow of energy through an ecosystem starts with the harnessing of sunlight in the process of photosynthesis. Gross primary productivity is the total rate of photosynthesis or energy assimilated by the autotrophs. Like all other organisms, autotrophs must expend energy in the process of respiration. The rate of energy storage as organic matter after respiration is called the net productivity or NPP. NPP can be described by the following equation. The amount of accumulated organic matter found in an area at a given time is called the standing crop biomass. Biomass is usually expressed as grams of organic matter per square meter. Standing crop biomass differs from productivity. Productivity is the rate at which organic matter is created by photosynthesis. Biomass is the amount of organic matter present at any given time. The simplest and most common method of measuring net primary production in terrestrial ecosystems is to estimate the change in standing crop biomass over a given time interval. Light and nutrient availability are the primary controls on net primary productivity in aquatic ecosystems. Light is a primary factor limiting productivity in aquatic ecosystems, and the depth to which light penetrates a lake or ocean is crucial in determining the zone of primary productivity. In oceans, nutrients in the deeper waters must be transported to the surface waters where light is sufficient to support photosynthesis. Nutrients, particularly nitrogen, phosphorus, and iron, are a major limitation on primary productivity in the oceans. John Downing, Craig Osenberg, and Orlando Sarnell did experiments that results from more than 300 nutrient enrichment experiments conducted in marine habitats around the world. They found that nitrogen addition stimulated phytoplankton growth, followed by the addition of iron. In contrast, the addition of phosphorus did not stimulate phytoplankton growth. These results confirm that nitrogen and iron are the two most limiting nutrients in marine environments. The magnitude of response to nutrient enrichment varied significantly among marine environments, particularly for phosphorus. Shallow waters allow for a greater transport of nutrients from the bottom sediments to the surface waters, aided by wave action and the changing tides. Coastal waters receive a large input of nutrients carried from terrestrial ecosystems by rivers and streams. Solar radiation limits primary productivity in lake ecosystems, but a close link between light intensity and temperature makes it difficult to evaluate these two factors independently. As with lakes, both light and nutrient availability have been shown no constraints in stream ecosystems. Although numerous experimental manipulations of water nutrient concentrations in stream and river ecosystems have shown an increase in NPP, with nutrient concentration, primary productivity in these ecosystems is typically low in comparison to standing water ecosystems. An important source of organic carbon for these ecosystems is inputs of dead organic matter from adjacent terrestrial ecosystems. External inputs of organic carbon can be important to aquatic ecosystems. Organic carbon produced within an ecosystem is described as autochthonous, whereas inputs from outside the ecosystem are described as allochthonous. In aquatic ecosystems, the autochthonous input is provided through photosynthesis by aquatic plants attached to algae in shallow waters and by phytoplankton in the open waters. However, a substantial proportion of organic carbon in these ecosystems is allochthonous, derived from dead organic matter from adjacent terrestrial ecosystems entering the water as both dissolved organic matter and particulate organic matter. The relative importance of allochthonous sources of carbon varies widely among different aquatic ecosystems. In most marine ecosystems, autochthonous inputs of organic carbon dominate because of high NPP of resident populations of phytoplanktons. In contrast, Small stream ecosystems flowing through forested catchments derive most of their organic carbon from dead plant materials deposited in water from the surrounding ecosystem. Shading from trees limits available light in the waters, preventing any significant growth of phytoplankton or attached algae. In these streams, allochthonous carbon provides energy resources that support levels of consumer abundance beyond those that could be supported from autochthonous sources. As the stream widens farther downstream, the shading by adjacent trees becomes limited to the stream margins, and the increase in available light in the water column allows for an increase in NPP by submerged aquatic plants, algae, and phytoplankton. The result is a continuum of the relative importance of allochthonous and autochthonous sources of energy. Balance PF flowing water ecosystems from the smaller head of water streams to larger river streams, referred to as river continuum concept. The relative importance of internal and external sources of organic carbon varies among lake ecosystems as a function of their morphology and the nature of the surrounding catchment. In larger lake ecosystems, autochthonous inputs generally dominate. In contrast, in smaller lakes, allochthonous inputs can be significant. Energy allocation and plant life form influence primary production. For a given rate of photosynthesis, the greater the allocation of carbon to photosynthetic tissues relative to non-photosynthetic tissues, the greater the net carbon gain and plant growth. Although plant species within an ecosystem exhibit a wide range of characteristics and adaptations to microclimatic conditions, the average patterns of carbon allocation exhibited by individual plants in response to such environmental gradients as moisture availability. Ecosystems with great NPPs are those with a greater standing biomass. The relationship of increasing standing biomass to increasing NPP is seen in both terrestrial and marine environments. Phytoplankton are the dominant net primary producers in open water ecosystems. These species are short-lived with high rates of reproduction. As a result, there is a constant turnover of the populations, with many generations occurring during the period over which annual NPP is measured. As a result of fast turnover of the populations, the standing biomass at any time interval is low as compared to the accumulated NPP over the course of the year. Primary production varies with time. Primary production varies within an ecosystem with time and age. The photosynthesis and plant growth are directly influenced by seasonal variations within an environment. Regions with distinct wet and dry seasons have a period of plant dormancy when primary productivity decreases. Year-to-year variations in the primary productivity of an area can occur as a result of the following. First, climatic variation. Second, herbivory and fire. Primary productivity decreases as a result of overgrazing of grasslands by cattle and sheep or fire in grasslands during the dry years. Third, withstand age, especially in ecosystems dominated by woody vegetation. For plants such as trees and woody shrubs, it can survive for a long time and has greatly influenced how they allocate their energy. Early in life, leaves make up the more than one half of their biomass. As the trees age, they accumulate more woody growth. Thus, the ratio of leaves to wood tissue changes. A forest ecologist at the University of Wisconsin, Steve Gower, together with Ross McMurdy and Dennis Murdy of Australian National University, conducted an experiment on the potential causes of declining productivity with stand age. They found that as the age of a forest increases, more and more of the living biomass occurs as woody tissues, whereas the leaf area remains relatively constant or declines. This is due to the fact that as the stand ages, photosynthesis and respiration decline, and as more of the plant grows, much of the energy goes into support and maintenance, and less remains for growth. The overall pattern is increasing primary productivity during the early stages of stand development, followed by a decline as the forest ages and biomass increases. Primary productivity limits secondary production. Primary production is the energy available to the heterotrophic components of the ecosystem. Heterotrophs consume virtually all primary productivity, but often is not used within the same ecosystem. Agents such as humans, water current, and wind may disperse the primary productivity from any ecosystem to another ecosystem. When consumed, energy in the form of plant material can be used as heat for metabolism, and the remainder is available for maintenance, performing muscular work, and keeping up with the wear and tear of animals' body. This energy is eventually lost to the environment as heat. The leftover energy from maintenance and respiration is used for secondary production or the formation of new tissues of heterotrophic organisms and production of young. Secondary production depends on the primary production for energy. So primary productivity functions as a constraint on secondary productivity within the ecosystem. One study conducted by Matt Norton and Michael Brzezinski and K.H. Mann examined the relationship between phytoplankton and zooplankton productivity in 43 lakes. They found a positive relationship between phytoplankton productivity and productivity of zooplankton. This shows that the population and productivity of secondary producers are controlled by the population and productivity of the primary producers.
No matter where the energy comes from, we can measure the amount that gets into the producers using productivity. Now the bad news is that hardly any of that energy actually gets into the plant. 99% is going to move through it, bounce off of it, the plant doesn't get it. Only 1% actually goes into the producer, and we call that the gross primary productivity. It's the amount of energy that the plant actually gets. Now, what's the plant going to do? It has to survive. And so it's doing respiration. That's where most of the energy goes. And a small percent of it goes to what's called the net primary productivity. That's the amount that the plant gets if we subtract the amount that it used for respiration. So the bad news, not much energy goes into the producers. What's the good news? There's so much energy contained within this.
Energy is passed down through the interactions between organisms in the food chain. The food chain is made out of trophic or consumer levels, which are based on the relationships that occur within the food chain. The first trophic level gives rise to the producers, such as the lichens, that are considered the primary producers in the tundra. The second trophic level consists of herbivores such as the caribou, whose diet ranges from grasses, sedges, and lichens. The third trophic level is occupied by the carnivores, such as this hungry wolf devouring on the caribou. This food chain is just one of the many food chains that occur in nature, and many of these food chains show interconnections with each other to become a complex food web. There are two major food chains, one of which is the grazing food chain. The grazing food chain's energy source is derived from living plant biomass, or net primary production. The flow of energy within this kind of food chain is unidirectional. The second major food chain is the detrital food chain. This is distinguished from the previous food chain in that the energy source is derived from dead organic matter and waste materials. This energy flow in this food chain is not unidirectional, since its dead organic matter and waste materials are recycled throughout the trophic levels. Despite the differences this food chain has, the two coexist and are not entirely separated from each other. The difference between the two major food chains start to fade at higher trophic levels, and the consumers do not take into account what the prey eats. The flow of energy can be tracked down and quantified. The energy that is available at a given trophic level comes from the production of the trophic level below it. This available energy is either left out or consumed. When it is consumed, a portion of it would be assimilated, which means it will be incorporated into the organism as constituents, while the other portion is fated to become waste material. The assimilated energy can be released in the form of respiration, while the rest will be part of the production. Energetic efficiency values can be utilized to calculate the flow of energy through the whole ecosystem. The production from each trophic level will be utilized as energy by the succeeding higher trophic level, while unused production and waste productions of each trophic level will be incorporated in the dead organic matter found in the environment. Different ecosystem types follow various pathways of energy flow. This energy flow can be determined via the value of consumption efficiency, which also varies among ecosystems. In the case of the aquatic ecosystems, the detrital food chain is dominant shallow water ecosystems, while the grazing food chain is dominant in deep water ecosystems. This difference is attributed to the rate of primary production and the biomass, with the standing biomass being higher in shallow water ecosystems and the rate of harvest being higher in the deep water ecosystems. For flowing water ecosystems such as rivers and streams, the detrital food chain dominates, but it is dependent on the input of dead organic matter. In terrestrial ecosystems, the detrital food chain is the more important food chain of the two. Consumption efficiencies of herbivores and predators between forest and grassland are comparable as well. The consumption efficiency of herbivores in grasslands is higher compared to that of the forest. On the other hand, the consumption efficiency of predators in forests is greater than that of the predators that live within the grassland. The amount of energy flowing that is inputted to a trophic level decreases with each successive trophic level in the food chain. This arises because not all the energy is utilized for production. In fact, it has already been estimated that 10% of the stored energy as biomass in a given trophic level is converted to biomass at the next higher trophic level. The measure of the efficiency of this transfer of energy from lower to higher trophic levels is called trophic efficiency. The food chain pyramid is a well-known and simplified way to see how energy flows from lower to higher trophic levels. From this image, one can derive two things. First, energy decreases when transferred to higher trophic levels. Second, biomass of organisms decreases with each successive trophic level. This is the typical situations for most ecosystems. However, there are ecosystems in which the biomass of the consumers are greater than the biomass of producers. This is a situation for lake and open sea ecosystems where primary production is focused in the phytoplankton.